The Department of Homeland Security is revealing it has arrested a woman allegedly tied to a Tren de Aragua shooting. The suspect is an illegal immigrant and former Illinois teacher. Authorities say she drove two gunmen to the site of the 2024 shooting, which then left 3 dead and 5 injured. Mike Tobin has this story from Chicago. Hi, Mike.
That's it, Dana. Federal authorities say they now have in their custody this former teacher who they say assisted a mass shooting with the deadly Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. Giovanni Mercedes Moreno Achapinti, 32 years old, entered the U.S. in October of 2021 with a visa waiver program. But DHS says she was supposed to leave January 2nd, 2022 and overstayed her visa. Now, skip forward to December 2nd, 2024, when the Department of Homeland Security says she drove 2 gunmen affiliated with the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua to a house party in the Gage Park area of Chicago, where they allegedly opened fire. 3 people were killed and several others injured. Richard Granadillo Padilla and Edward Martinez Cermeno have both been arrested but were never charged with the murders. Instead, they were deported. The Cook County State's Attorney's Office says the investigation is ongoing. Now, when Chicago police arrested the former teacher on December 5th of 2025, federal authorities say she had weapons in her car. However, Chicago's a sanctuary city in a sanctuary state. Moreno Achapinti was released without federal authorities being notified.
When you have sanctuary cities and sanctuary states like the governor of Illinois and the mayor of Chicago have, what happens is you release these individuals out when they shouldn't have ever been released out on the streets. We're constantly fighting these sanctuary city politicians that are more interested in protecting illegals and protecting actual American citizens.
Homeland Security investigations took up her case and tracked her down May 13th, 2026. She's now in federal custody, pending removal from the United States. Dana?
Okay. Thank you, Mike Tobin.
You got it.
And joining us now for more on this is former acting DHS Secretary Chad Wolf. Chad, as always, great to see you.
Good to see you.
So just to recap with what Mike Tobin said there, according to DHS, this is a high school teacher who was allegedly driving around Tren de Aragua gang members who pull up to a house party in Chicago, shoot it up, kill 3 people. She's then the getaway driver, gets pulled over by police. They find all sorts of weapons in her car. They arrest her, and then they immediately release her without any notification to ICE. How many times are we going to have a story like this? It feels like every single week, Chad.
Yeah, well, as long as these are sanctuary jurisdictions, unfortunately, we're going to continue to have stories unless those politicians like the governor of Illinois and the mayor of Chicago decide to change their ways. But again, this individual overstayed her visa, came in on the visa waiver program, overstayed her visa. These are the types of individuals that the left does not want ICE to remove, right? Because they're not a hardened criminal. But part of ICE's job is to remove individuals before they commit acts of violence, before they become accessories to these types of events. And so ICE is doing the right thing, which is she had no legal right to be here. She needs to be removed from the country. But in the interim, as she's released, she goes on and commits additional crimes. This is a textbook case, unfortunately, Bill, as you've indicated, of this is what happens time and time again in these sanctuary jurisdictions.
And Borders' our Tom Homan is sounding off on this one. Take a listen to what he had to say.
It's the sanctuary city policies, the dangerous policies of these sanctuary, states, sanctuary cities. Look, she was complicit in the murder of 3 people. And they didn't honor or detain her, release her back to the street. It's the politicians, it's Mayor Johnson, it's Governor Pritzker that doesn't want. They rather see public safety at risk than give President Trump what they think a win by decreasing crime in their cities. It's ridiculous.
Chad, will there ever be crimes that are egregious enough for these sanctuary politicians to someday wake up and say, you know what, maybe it is a good idea for our community to cooperate with ICE every now and then?
Well, I hope so, but it doesn't appear to be that case, right? I mean, this is an individual that was an accessory and was released back on. I mean, Governor Pritzker needs to be asked very specifically whether he approves of this type of individual being released. And they try to muddy the water, these sanctuary mayors and governors, by saying, trying to discern between a violent crime and just a misdemeanor. These are all crimes that did not need to be committed because these individuals should have never been here. So I would hope, Bill, to your point, that they would wake up, but that they would say, look, I need to protect the residents in my community and my state. But it continues to be that they put their politics over public safety.
Want to turn now to another topic. We all remember during the open borders of the Biden administration, the state of Texas really had to step up and try to secure its own border with Operation Lone Star. They spent billions of dollars to do so. And now Texas Governor Greg Abbott wants to be reimbursed by the federal government for those efforts. Take a listen.
The Trump administration has now opened up the window for us to be able to file for reimbursement of the expenses that we incurred. And we're seeking reimbursement as we speak right now of billions of dollars of costs that Texas incurred to secure the border in the failure of the Biden administration to do its job.
Chad, it was bizarre. I remember being down in Eagle Pass and literally watching as Biden's Border Patrol showed up to cut through Texas's razor wire, and then they show up with a backhoe and literally lift it up out of the way so illegal immigrants could enter the country. Wild stuff. Do you think Texas should be reimbursed here?
No, I do, absolutely. Governor Abbott in the state of Texas, particularly the residents, had to spend a lot of money to protect themselves from an invasion. I mean, it wasn't just 100 folks coming across that border, Bill. You were there. It was thousands of folks coming across that border, pouring into Texas communities. And the governor, rightly so, had to commit resources to protect his residents. And now they should get reimbursed. Look, reconciliation provides some language in there, provides that states can get reimbursed. So hopefully he's working with the department to get reimbursed on the cost that he can. But now, fortunately, they've got a Trump administration that is securing that border so they don't have to continue to put funds as they did during the 4 years of Biden.
Yeah, and as you're speaking right now, we're showing video of that huge camp of Haitians in Del Rio, Texas, back in 2021. That was only stopped because Texas state troopers showed up and blocked everything. Border Patrol and the Biden administration did not stop it. It was the state of Texas that stepped up and blocked those crossings after 3 days of a total free-for-all. So just wanted to point that out. Chad Wolf, as always, great to see you. Thank you for your insights.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.